point when the houses were torn down, the contractors that were used were 3 contractors outside of the community. So Mitchell Anderson wasn't called in. He was not referred to. Those contractors were Bolander, Veit, and Commish. The total package was $1.7 million. At that point, I asked, I said, well, how does this occur? How could no African Americans be used to tear down homes in North Minneapolis? There was another issue that came about with that too. The commission, Commissioner OPAT, who asked for the $1.25 million, also had in that contract that they would use prison reentry labor. One was the Network for Better Futures, Sentence to Serve, and the Tree Trust. There appears to be, in numerous instances, more opportunities for African American men after incarceration than there are when they are not incarcerated. So thus we now have a situation, if you follow the money, that $1.25 million was supposed to be paid back with part of the $5.6 million stimulus money, which no longer can take place. So if we want to try to change the community, we first have to follow the money and make sure we understand how it impacts the community and all these back deals that are done before we get to see it. How might we address that?
Thank you, Lenny Chisholm.
Oh, I'd
Louis
love
King.
to. And you know, part of the work that I do is not just taking on MnDOT or the county commissioners or City Hall. And I think that people understand that I represent folks who are trying to move their lives. But part of what I do also is ensuring that people on our side of the fence, okay, are fair players and not just stirring the mud and spreading things. The first thing I want to say is that I share a table, one of my representatives shares a table with Lenny at MnDOT, and we're there talking about $20 million, not $1 million. Okay, so that's point number one. Point number two on why wasn't an African-American contractor, once I heard about this situation, I took it upon me to call Richard Copeland in and also made some phone calls to the city about what was going on, and that should be dealt with, okay? But we got to be at the table. Anderson didn't have the capacity at that moment. The third thing that I've said is this, and I'm not going to repeat myself. If you want to do business, I'm not going to apologize. I'm the chair of the board of the network. I'm not going to apologize for giving men who are coming out of the penitentiary that nobody will even give a dog bone to. They won't let them live anywhere, won't help them get a job, nothing. I'm not going to apologize for getting them work that nobody else wants to do, that is deconstruction and recycling, which are the jobs that they go out and do. And Turning Point is a partner, North Point is a partner, Eden House is a partner, Summit Academy is a partner, and we're very proud of what we do. And I have said this privately, and I will say it publicly. If you want to spend your time worrying about what other people are getting, you will miss the opportunity to get the fruits of the efforts that are going on now. And I invite you to come to the table as a partner. We have to be responsible. This is not the time for petty fights. We have to be responsible. There are hundreds of millions and billions of dollars on the table. I would encourage us to focus on the big pie and quit being crabs in a barrel. And if you want to have the argument, I'm willing to have it in private, in public, and at 5 o'clock during rush hour on 35W.
Let me also add, Al, if I could.
Mike Christensen, go ahead.
There are some very encouraging businesses growing on the north side, to Lewis's point. Tri-Construction, Calvin Littlejohn, Anderson Mitchell, Mitchell Contracting, Val Vera, 21st and Aldrich, Ram Construction, long been a rehabber up here. And I think for those people who are looking for business opportunities on the north side, be more than willing to work with you and Summit and making sure that people get their general contractor's license with the state. And as Roosevelt Gaines will tell you, that's been key.
I'm concerned here because what I do at the Urban League is deal with contractors out there in the field. And one of the things I'm afraid that's going to happen is that once this stimulus money comes down, it's all on infrastructure. And what's going to happen is all of and it's highways and bridges and the roads, that's going to be the major stuff through MnDOT. Those contracts are going to be awarded to contractors that I would bet you if you check their record over the past 10 to 15 years, have not met their compliance goals once. Okay? So that means that once they get the contract, and I could name them off, but I'm not going to name names,
right.
okay? And I know I was at the state yesterday testifying. They're going to be passing a bill to make sure that all public projects, okay, have there's some law in there that not only says hire somebody, hire a minority person or an ex-offender, but also hire them for the duration of a contract. If you're going to be that contract for 9 months, you need to hire that person for the 9 months.
Steve Lohman. I'm curious about the progress of the Bassett Creek redevelopment area right down here. The city gave Ryan Companies 5-year exclusive design on that. There has a vague foot in the door with the community benefits agreement. Given the stimulus package and a part of that being green, not only green jobs, but green manufacturing and that piece of land down there, is there any discussion at this point, or is there input with Ryan Companies not only for redeveloping that area, but redeveloping it with green industry so that that jobs can be created in that area and also access some of that stimulus money for that?
Mike Christensen.
Thanks, Al. Yes, Steve, we are negotiating that development agreement right now, and I'd be happy to have you come down. I'll brief you on it.
Quick question.
This is a lively discussion and one that is very important. My name is Deborah Watts. I'm here representing the Homeownership Preservation Foundation, which is another issue that's facing our community with the foreclosure crisis. But I just want to say that it is important that we talk. It is important that we use new ways of dealing with the solutions or dealing with the issues. And it's important that we do all sit at the table. We all play a role. Those critics, those that understand the problems, those that understand the solutions need to speak together. And we have to start somewhere. This is it. This is the beginning. So I welcome anyone to sit at the table and talk about it. We can use, yes, public forums. We can use private forums, but at least sit and talk. And yes, accountability is important. And there are people in the community that need to play those roles of pointing the finger and identifying those issues. But let's not be defensive. Let's be inclusive, and let's listen, and let's be all a part of the solution, because nothing's going to happen if we keep playing the same games.
Bill, if you would just put this in context, if you would.
Well, there are several things that I've heard today. First of all, Mike Christensen, who I've always considered a learned man and a friend, not always right. Not always right.
That's for sure.
But someone that is trying to keep his boss close to being on our side. And I don't see his bosses being on our side, and everybody knows that. But to that point, I want to say three things. The issue with the Minneapolis Civil Rights Department is real. No one should trust them today. No one. Because their performance has been abysmal by their own study. I don't have to repeat the study. Everybody knows it. It was an august body of Judge Lejeune Lang, Professor Myers, and others who said they're not holding contractors to compliance. So we have no reason to trust them to hold contractors' feet to the fire, just like we don't MnDOT. And MnDOT's record for more than 20 years has been abysmal. So going for, how do you build trust? You build trust by, first of all, acknowledging failures and then saying, we want to fix it. And if there's honesty about fixing it, we can fix it because we have the know-how. Now, you cannot go for it. And Lewis knows I support a job as is the best social program. But sometimes when he says that, it appears he's knocking our social service agents. That's not what he means, and I know that. We are trying to now correct the mistakes we made in Iraq because we tore down the institutions. Our community will not be developed, our culture will not be preserved unless we preserve our institutions. We've got 4 or 5 African-American institutions in North